Hello Internet, it's me Josh, the Aging Gamer. So, when doing these little reviews of mine, not only is it a good excuse to go back and look at games that I love from my childhood, but it also gives me an excuse to play games that I totally passed up the first time around. Like, for example, Crash Bandicoot. When I think about Crash Bandicoot, the first thing that comes to mind are those commercials Sony used to promote the first game.
Your worst nightmare has arrived. Pack up your stuff. I got a little surprise for you here. Check it out. What do you think about that?
They were pretty entertaining, and it didn't just get people into Crash Bandicoot, but the PlayStation as well. As for the game, while it might not look like much today, visually this game was stunning, and it looked like it was tackling the platforming genre in a way that Super Mario Bros. And Sonic the Hedgehog hadn't at that point. The first game ended up selling pretty well, and we would see a bunch of sequels and spin-offs from here on out. As for myself, oddly enough, I never really got into the series. I was kind of a weird kid because I wanted more mature titles for my PS1. Games like Final Fantasy, Parasite Eve, Metal Gear Solid, WWF SmackDown. I didn't want any kiddie-looking mascot games. Despite still playing games like Yoshi's Story and Banjo-Kazooie on my Nintendo 64. Like I said, I was a weird kid. So games like Crash Bandicoot and even Spyro the Dragon, I just completely skipped them altogether. But Crash Bandicoot's pretty damn popular. He has a lot of sequels, a few remakes, and even just recently had a brand new game that scored pretty well. So maybe I should see what this game is all about. I got a copy of the original PlayStation 1 game, so let's check it out. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Crash Bandicoot. So, southeast of Australia, there are 3 islands known as the Wampa Islands, and they're owned by the evil Dr. Neo Cortex. He's conducting experiments on the local animals and turning them into his own personal mutant animal army. Crash is tested on and is rejected, and chased out of Cortex's castle. Now Cortex plans to experiment on Crash's love interest, the busty blonde bandicoot, Tana. Let's go save her. Yeah, a sexualized Bandicoot. Gotta give it to PlayStation. Nintendo doesn't do that. They got sexualized monkeys. So Crash washes up on shore. Aided by a witch doctor spirit, Aku Aku, Crash is going to travel back to Cortex and get his boo thing back. Let's play the first stage. As you see, rather than being a traditional 2D platformer like Mario, or a fully 3D platformer like Mario, it's a third-person tunnel perspective platformer. That's unique. Crash himself has a simple moveset. Press X to jump, circle or square to do a spin attack, and like always, the D-pad to move. When controlling Crash, his movements can feel a bit stiff. I feel like if it were possible to use the analog stick, it would make it feel a bit better, but since this game came out before the dual analog controller even came out, that's not possible. So anyway, move forward and we'll attack these crates. These things can contain extra lives, bonus level icons, or big amounts of Wumpa fruit. Collect 100 Wumpa fruit to get an extra life. Be careful not to spin around the fruit too, as you'll end up launching them off screen. And you know what? Those apple mango looking Wumpa fruits actually look pretty damn tasty. You know, I wonder what a Wumpa fruit tastes like. I don't have one here in front of me because, well, they don't exist, but I do happen to have this energy drink right here by G Fuel that's Wumpa fruit flavor. Let's try it out. Bottoms up! Blech. So there's other types of crates out there, like these bouncy crates, and these TNT crates that explode in 3 seconds after jumping on them. In this game, if you get hit just once, you'll die. If you find crates with an Aku Aku, he'll follow you around and take a hit for you. If you collect 3 of them, you'll temporarily become invincible. But anyway, back to this level. You run forward and you attack bad guys, like these Venus flytrap monsters and these giant enemy crabs. There's also perilous pits to jump over and platforms to ascend. Once you get towards the end, find this orange portal and the level is over. Yikes. Apparently I'm supposed to destroy each crate in a level. Which sounds like a fun challenge, but it's not. It's tedious and downright frustrating in later levels. And the worst part is that you have to destroy each crate in each level without dying. That's insane, but it's somewhat necessary for 3 reasons. 1, because destroying all the crates in a level will give you a gem, which can be used for a secret ending later. 2, getting all the gems is also necessary to 100% the game. And 3, it's one of the few ways to actually save your game. So yeah, the save system in this game sucks. It only saves when you collect a gem, complete a bonus round, or collect a key. There's a password system in place, but it's only really beneficial for those who don't have a memory card. Overall, the whole save system in this game just is really weak. As I play more levels, I very quickly get annoyed with this game's third-person camera. There's lots of jumps, which you'd expect in a platformer, but my depth perception in this game sucks, so I died a lot. When going platform to platform, I feel like I'm either going to jump too far or not far enough. And good God, if you have to jump at an angle, that almost feels like a challenge itself. I got really frustrated playing against one of the bosses, Ripperoo, because I'm supposed to jump around the stage and set off TNT crates in hopes that they'll explode and damage him. It's a simple enough concept, but because of Crash's movements, this felt a lot harder than it needed to be. There's actually a lot of stages that felt like they were more difficult because of this. I really struggled trying to get used to the stiffness in moving Crash around. Maybe it's because I'm not used to using a D-pad in a 3D game, or maybe it's the game itself. Regardless, by the time I finished playing the game, I still didn't feel super comfortable with the controls. But anyway, let's continue on with the rest of the game. There are a few different types of levels you'll go through. There's actually a few that have you running towards the camera. Yeah, what the hell? Like Raiders of the Lost Ark, this giant boulder chases you as you run towards the camera as you try not to fall or bump into shit. If you do happen to hit a fence or so, you're dead, even if it looks like you've recovered. There's also a few stages where it's an auto runner. Crash finds a hog and, I hope he's not implying what I think he's implying. Crash will ride the hog and will be jetted forward. We'll move left or right and you can jump. Moving around feels very sluggish though. Prepare to get hurt a lot. And then there's some levels where you play it as a standard side-scroller. The jumping definitely feels better here since you get a better look at the platforms ahead of you, but the downside is, now it just feels like the other bajillion platformers out there. All in all, I applaud the developers, Naughty Dog, for trying so many different ways of switching up the gameplay, but I just wish the controls felt better. I feel like I've done nothing but talk smack about Crash Bandicoot this entire video, but really besides the controls, everything else is pretty damn good. While the graphics might not be impressive today, this looked pretty vibrant and detailed for 1996. The game looked great, and despite mostly looking at Crash's butt, he's a pretty expressive character. The bosses are all unique too. As I mentioned, I had the issue with the boss Ripperoo, but I found all the other bosses to actually be pretty easy. A lot easier than the levels themselves. It just comes down to finding out their pattern, and then hitting them when the time is right. Even the final battle with Cortex is rather simple. But yeah, I like the character designs, and I kinda wish the characters got a bit more dialogue or something to get to know them a bit more. The music in this game fits in very well too. The main theme is a pretty catchy tune, and the rest are very atmospheric, and they work in their environments. The music just blends in well with the landscapes. There's also plenty of content here. The game only has a total of 32 levels, but because you'll want to collect all the gems, you'll want to replay them all, even if the task of getting the gems are super frustrating. Also, if you don't want to collect the gems, you can still enjoy the game for what it is from beginning to end and not have to worry about it. So all in all, how does this 26-year-old game hold up today? Personally speaking, I know Crash has a lot of fans, and I don't want to upset anybody, but if I'm being honest, I just don't care for this game. 3D platformers were still a new concept at the time of this game's release, and it very much feels like a product of its time. And I mean that as in this game feels like an early PlayStation 1 game. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but the controls are my biggest complaint. The game isn't unplayable by any means, but the controls slowed down the pace and kept me from having more fun than I would have liked. The ideas and level designs are great, but what good is that when the character moves like ass? Looking online, it looks like some people have the same issue I do with the controls, but there's lots of people out there who don't seem to have any problem with it whatsoever. All I can do is speak from my experience. Something I think we can all agree on, though, is that the save system system sucks. Collecting a gem to save? That's lame. Finding all the bonus tokens in a level, then beating the bonus level to save? It's not as bad, but still lame. And hey, I thought she was captured. I don't want to shit on the franchise just because of my experience here, because the series looks like it could potentially get more fun in the later games. While playing this one, I got the vibe that it was like the developers mixed Sonic the Hedgehog, Super Mario, and a bit of Donkey Kong Country together. And on paper, that sounds awesome. And if you didn't have a problem with the controls and played this game easily, I imagine it is pretty awesome. Crash Bandicoot as a character seems pretty alright, and I'd hate to judge the whole franchise based off of its first entry in the series. So, who knows, maybe I'll review the sequels sometime in the future. But those are just my opinions. What do you guys think? What do you think of Crash Bandicoot? Think it's great? Think it sucks? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to see more videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all on the next one.